Welcome to Cybersecurity Sense, a weekly podcast providing updates and insight into the latest in cybersecurity. Brought to you by LBMC Information Security. Now, here's your host.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Cybersecurity Sense. I'm your host, William Parks, today, and I guess just a little bit of a background. I'm one of the technical side pen testers here with LBMC Information Security, and we're going to cover a couple of really relevant topics right now in the industry because, frankly, a lot of us just, we always hear about it. We don't really hear a whole lot of guidance on it. We do sometimes, but it's never super specific. Today, we're going to talk about the ever so daunting ransomware and how can you best defend against it and what methods or techniques could you take in your own team to help prevent any kind of takeover or any kind of exploitation of anything within your environment. So without further ado, let's jump into this and let's get started. So we have a few items that we want to hit on that are here in front of us right now. And first and foremost, we have at the top, make sure that you are using antivirus on all of your machines at all times. Because this thing scans emails, it scans flash drives, it scans everything. And you want to make sure that everything on that computer is not a threat. So software at all times, make sure you have the antivirus up and running and you can monitor and control that within your IT infrastructure. Also ensure that your computer is fully patched because that is another loophole where people typically are able to get their way into the machine and then get their way into your network. So we want to prevent that as much as possible. Make sure that you are blocking access to ransomware sites. So use security products or services that block access to known ransomware sites, such as Mimecast. Now, this is not an ad. This is not an advert. I'm not trying to promote Mimecast. That's just an example of a good solution that actually does block and take even further steps to actually get rid of any kind of potential threat to the user. So again, ensure you have the ransomware sites blocked if you can. And aside from that, only allow authorized apps to run on your machines. Configure operating systems or use third-party software that only allows authorized applications on the computers. You don't want a third-party application getting on there that you don't know about. That turns into a whole long-winded issue and it's not fun to deal with, right? We don't like that. So make sure that you are containing the kinds of applications that run on your system machines within your environment. Also, make sure that you restrict personally owned devices. Organizations should restrict or prohibit access to official networks from personally owned devices. The only reason why that kind of is if you think about it, your phone or your personal laptop goes with you really anywhere that you want to take it, right? You can take it to a coffee shop, you can work there, you can do stuff at home, but you do different kinds of things on that machine than you do on your work machine, right? Your work machine shouldn't touch YouTube. Unless you absolutely need it for your job. We'll just go ahead and talk about your personal email for a split second. So your personal email, you get an email that says, hey, you have just won a new iPhone, and you accidentally click it and you accidentally open up a link. Now, I know that's kind of far-fetched, but you accidentally do it, let's just say. The issue is with that is that once you do that, you now have a susceptible machine to a piece of ransomware or a piece of malware that could infect your machine, right? And if you bring that into a very secure network like your office or your company, your machine could actually have and hold the potential to infect all the other computers inside of that area, inside of that network. So we want to try and minimize the kinds of devices that get brought onto internal networks for companies. So keep your personally owned devices off of your company's internal infrastructure. Aside from that, make sure you're using standard user accounts. Don't give all your users administrative privileges within their machines because that also gets exploited with malware whenever it infects the computer. Avoid using personal apps such as email, chats, or social media. Make sure those stay refrained off of work computers. And also beware of unknown sources, right? You don't want to have some random file that pops up and you just click on it and bada bing, bada boom, you've compromised your whole company. That's no fun. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants to be in that position. So just don't open up anything that you don't know. Right? And that does include links from coworkers. If you don't check with coworkers, I'm not saying to check with your coworker all the time, but if something looks kind of odd and weird, something seems off, it would never hurt to just reach out and say, hey, Jason, how's it going? I just saw you got this email. That's awesome. Thank you for forwarding the contact to me. is there anything I need to be aware of with this? Just, you don't even have to ask them, hey, did you send this to me? But you can make it a nice, formal, organic conversation. And if they didn't send you anything already, that's a red alarm, and they would tell you right off the bat, right? Jason's like, oh, I didn't send anything. I don't know what you're talking about. And you're like, yeah, I have an email right here. So anyway, just keep your eyes on that kind of stuff and make sure that you are watching over your own machine and your own endpoints, just as an IT administrator would too. So if you are trying to recover from a future ransomware attack, like things that you can do now to help you recover easier later, develop and implement an incident recovery plan with defined roles and strategies for decision making. Back up and restore all of your data. You don't want to have something go awry and then all of a sudden you're missing, a terabyte of data. That's no fun, and that definitely hurts the company a little bit because you have to make up for that lost data that you had that you no longer have. And then also keep your contacts, right? Make sure you know who to contact as far as local law enforcement goes or any other agencies. Whenever something happens, if it does happen to your business, you want to make sure you have a quick and swift response. You don't want anything to be slow. And also ensure that wherever you can target the malware infection coming from, make sure you knock those machines offline real fast. Usually step number one of a malware attack or a ransomware attack is just to shut everything down, right? Shut everything down and slowly bring it up and see what is going on in the network, see where you need to isolate, quarantine, and really figure out what the issue is there. So anyway, these are just a few tips that I wanted to put out there for you guys. Not that any of this is groundbreaking news, but it's always a good reminder, especially in the midst of all the craziness going on in the world right now in the heightened threat environment. So again, this is William Parks from LBMC Information Security. Thank you guys for listening to this quick little tidbit and a couple little tips to keep you safe. Hope you guys have a great week, and we will see you soon.